Hi, I'm Cameron McKenzie. I'm the author of What is WebSphere and the ExamScam series of certification guides. I'm also the webmaster of pulpjava.com. I'd really love it if you headed over to our website and bought a couple of books off us. You can get them on Amazon, but we always ship them out faster and with love if you buy them off our website. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about right now was actually the idea of creating some servlet filters. Servlet filters are one of my favorite additions to the Servlet and JSP API, and I want to show you how you can create them and integrate them into your applications. Now, I've actually got a little application, a little country snooper here, and then if it figures out that you're Canadian, it says, hey, let's go for a Tim Hortons coffee. If it figures out that you're not a Canadian, here's a browser that's is set up to have American as the default language. It says, hey, we love people that speak, and then it prints out your language. So somewhat non-discriminating little servlet. That's called the country snooper servlet. And here's kind of the code for it. If the country is Canadian of the user, print out a Tim Hortons message. If not, just print out something about how you love people that speak that particular language. Well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to make sure that when the request comes in, that the only people that see this particular servlet are Americans. So I'm going to make sure that anybody who invokes this can speak American. And so the way I'm going to do that through a filter. And you can use a filter for all sorts of things. This is just one little example. But I'm going to create a new filter. So File, New, Other. Filter is under the Web Options because it's a Servlet and a Servlet API artifact. I'm going to call this the American Filter. And I'm going to put it in the com.examscam.web.Filter package. And you notice that actually it doesn't extend an interface, so it's just superclasses object, but doesn't extend a class, but it does implement an interface, and it's the javax.servlet.Filter interface that you extend. And when this creates the code, you'll actually see that that particular interface defines a couple of methods. And so here we have the implements filter. It requires an init method, a destroy method, and a doFilter method. Now, look at all these comments. Do people really comment their code? Unbelievable. I'm sure that they're going to remove comments from one of the upcoming specifications. Anyways, all I really want to do is worry about the doFilter method. And basically in this doFilter method, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the display language that's set up by the user in their browser. If they're speaking American, what I'm going to say is I'm going to allow them to actually see the filter. So if they're not speaking Spanish, if they're not speaking American, we'll print out, hey, only people speaking American can view the servlet. And if they are speaking Spanish, then, well, we'll just go on with the chain, which basically means we will allow the servlet that this filter is associated to run. And that's the idea of a chain. You can have different filters connected together, and one filter calls another, or calls another. As long as doFilter keeps going, eventually the servlet runs. Then you can have code that executes after the filter. And so I can even do system.out.println, system, and print out, time after the filter, after the servlet is run. I don't know, do something like system.current time millis. I don't know, print out like a little timestamp or something. So you can execute logic before your servlet runs using a filter and after your servlet runs using your filter. Now, I've actually got to clean this up a little bit. So I got request, response, and typically that's called chain. And there we go. Looks like everything compiles here. And this is basically the idea of a filter. You can have code run before your servlet, you can have code run after your servlet executes, and you can even chain filters together so that there's a logical use. And you can use these for all sorts of things. You can use them for logging. Maybe you want to do some debugging or logging before your servlet runs, logging or debugging after your servlet runs. Maybe you want to change the chain. Maybe you want to do an XML transformation. Maybe you want to even check to see if certain parameters in the request. The world is your oyster. Do notice that it's a servlet request and servlet response, not the HTTP servlet request, servlet response. That's a little bit different. Now the other thing I should mention as well, the tool implements these filters using a bunch of Haitian voodoo, and part of that Haitian voodoo is put into the web.xml file. You notice that every filter actually has to be specified inside the XML file, so there has to be an XML entry, and a filter has to be associated with a particular servlet. So I've got this AmericanFilter. What servlet do I want to filter with this? Well, I'll filter any request for the country snooper servlet. Now this is pivotal. A lot of people implement filters and think it's just magically gets associated with their code, and there is lots of magic in J2EE, but this isn't one of them. So right here you can actually see this the web.xml, the deployment descriptor for the web module, and you can see the filter entered in here, the filter mapping, and then kind of even see what servlet that particular filter is associated with. Okay, and so that's how you actually code a filter, and you then attach the filter to a particular servlet. You can attach them to as many servlets as you want, and you can have many filters attached to a particular servlet. Now I'm actually just going to try and run this particular application and see what happens. And so I'm going to go to my servlet. Where was that dastardly little servlet? There it is. Run on server. And let's see what happens. And there we go. Notice that in this particular browser, where the preferred language is set up as English, it says, hey, only people speaking American can view this servlet. However, if I go to this web browser where the language, just Tools, Option, Edit Languages, and you can see American has been set up as the basic language here. When we do a refresh, it actually executes the servlet, which says, hey, we love people who speak whatever language you're using. In this case, it has to be Spanish. So that's the idea of a servlet filter. I think you can even see down at the bottom here, maybe take a look in the console, you can actually see, hey, you know, time after the servlet run, and it puts a little timestamp there. And so you can see the actual filter running there. That's a little overview of servlet filters, how you can create a servlet filter, and even an idea of how you might apply those. They're great, even just for helping out with state management, making sure somebody's logged in, things like that. Now, as I said, I am the webmaster of pulpjava.com and examscam.com. Please go over and pick up a couple of copies of my book, build them to your boss. Check out some of my ExamScam titles as well, especially the SCGA guide, the new Java entry-level Java certification. I'd love it if you went to my website and ordered a few books off us. You can get them on Amazon, but it's always best if you buy them direct off us from our website. And that's about it for creating servlet filters. The last thing I want to say is happy WebSphere.